Hello, and thanks for joining us on the March edition of the Public Hearing Show. The Public Hearing Show is a broadcast of the Pittsburgh Public School public hearings that Annette, Werner, my colleague, and myself, Kathy Fine, feel is necessary to bring more light onto the concerns of the stakeholders in the Pittsburgh Public Schools. So each month we're bringing you the speakers and trying to make some commentary, try to do some follow-up to find out, where these comments have gone and what's being done about some of the concerns that our speakers have, that our stakeholders in the public schools have. But before we get started on this month's speakers, I wanted to comment a little bit about last month. We didn't get a chance to do any commentary, and there were several speakers that were there advocating for the creation of the Robert Vann Charter School. Charter schools have been a debate that's been going on since 1990, I think was when it was first introduced in the United States. And it puts many well-intentioned educational advocates on opposite sides of the fence. There's a desperation that's felt by many parents when they're stuck in struggling schools to have something better. And so this is where the charter school movement has grown from. Sadly, if you really look at the numbers, and many people have, there's been several studies. One was done by actually the United States government, the Department of Education, that looked at 72 charter schools, charter middle schools, and found that the charter schools are no more likely to show increases in academic outcomes than their public school counterparts. In the end, the charter schools will have some high-performing and some low-performing schools, exactly what we have in the Pittsburgh public schools now. Which basically leads to just shuffling around of students with no average increase in academic studies.
And actually, it may be worse performance in the public schools that we're left with less funding.
Well, exactly. That's one of the points, is that what you end up doing is draining all the talent, all the engaged parents from
Resources.
That school, and leaving the children that are the most at risk behind. These schools did not significantly increase outcomes in either decreasing absences or suspensions or other measures of student performance. And then lastly, there is very little accountability for these schools and the companies that run them, since the charter school boards are appointed and overseen by the group that appointed them. So it seems to be a vicious cycle of non-accountability. And then there's fraud that happens. And in fact, since charter schools have been introduced to Pennsylvania, there's been about $30 million worth of fraud in our charter schools that have happened in Pennsylvania. So I know we realize that parents want something better, and we all want something better for our underachieving students. But at this point, no data shows that charter schools are the way to go, or charter schools will improve academic outcomes. So, Annette, what is your take on charter schools and the movement that's happening across the country?
I think that in some limited circumstances there may be a role for charter schools. Here in Pittsburgh, what we saw is that we had a community that was essentially abandoned by the school district. Hazelwood was left with no public school, not even a parochial school, no school whatsoever. In that case, a charter operator was able to come in, and it seems like the community is much happier having a school, once again, at least some school in their district. So if you have a community where the district is refusing to serve them, I think there's a role. I also think what you said about accountability is interesting. I would say that even step back a little earlier in the process, before you hand them the keys in the first place. Make the charter school show some results. Maybe they can run a successful summer program, something that shows that it's more than just ideas, because so many of these people are very passionate and they say that they care about the children so much, and it's believable, and they feel like if they just care enough that it's going to work. But I think they need to actually show some hard and fast results and then continue to have accountability to renew their charter periodically.
Agreed. And that very much sort of screams the need for community schools and the community school movement that's happening. We're going to talk about later. There's a speaker that spoke about that, that schools are the heart of the community. Mm-hmm. And when you tear that out, you know, it's going to be worse off for the kids and the parents and everybody in the community. So, yeah, there's many sides to this. It's not black and white. And I'm sure the debate will continue, but we're going to go right to the speakers and let the stakeholders speak for themselves.
Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's public hearing for Monday, March 23rd, 2015. At this time, I'm going to ask if folks would please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices that may interrupt tonight's proceedings. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to clarify the process for speaking at public hearings. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. As your time begins to wind down, there will be a flashing light on the microphone. As soon as your 3 minutes are up, your time is over. When the light flashes, you have approximately 30 seconds to wind up your testimony. Speakers who arrive late to the public hearing will be given the opportunity to present their testimony after all speaker names have been announced. This evening's public hearing will be moderated by Erica Fairby-Jones. Ms. Jones, please proceed with calling our first speaker.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sumter. Our next 3 speakers will be Bonnie Spolis, number 2, Kelly Day, and number 3, Donna Namby. Ms. Spolis?
Hello, my name is Bonnie Spoles, and I'm here yet again almost every month, every time I'm living in the States. At 4:27 on Monday, the 16th of March, kids leaving the after-school program at Fulton School with an escort strolled down my fence, all over my fence, loosening the pickets. I have photos from my surveillance system. I called Ms. Arnold, the principal, who asked in a rather clueless tone, "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to stop the destruction of my property. I want my property made whole. I want you to teach citizenship and personal responsibility, since these kids obviously don't get it at home. I want you to teach these kids that they're part of the community. And while you're at it, teach the school board the same thing." Pretty simple. You have cameras at the school. Why aren't they using them to stop the trespassing and vandalism to properties directly across from the school? Why aren't you taking action against the students causing harm to properties directly across from the school? Why do you condone your students causing property destruction at properties directly across from the school? There are now larger signs on my property stating that Fulton students vandalized this property. When these are removed, as the last ones were, I will replace them with even larger signs. And I will continue to contact the police with security footage of the trespassers and vandals. Perhaps I should try posting the vandalism signs in French, as Fulton is a French magnet. I would file a lawsuit, but my attorney friends have informed me the school board will use the full force of my tax dollars against me. Ah yes, stonewalled again. As a direct result of your refusal to address this issue with anything but stonewalling, you can expect to start seeing videos posted on YouTube. While I'm on the subject, the handbook for Fulton, and I have 2 links on here, state If parents want to stand with their children on the sidewalk or watch the children until they have entered school, it is necessary to park on the other side of the street, opposite the bus drop-off. That's directly in front of our houses. The school policy causes problems for the residents who live across from Fulton School. You continually cause hardship for the tax-paying residents. I can't believe that the administration could be so clueless as to the impact their actions have on the community. And why is the 1100 block of North St. Clair by the school unavailable to parents and teachers for parking? Mr. Vivens pushed for this. These issues could have been taken care of if the representative, Ms. Hawley and Ms. Arnold.
Thank you so much. We have your testimony. Speaker number 2, Kelly Day.
Evening. I live in Brighton Heights, about a 10-minute walk to John Morrow. I have 3 kids, with the first one entering kindergarten in the fall of 2016. I have a big decision to make soon. I'll decide where my child will go to learn. Families are faced with many pros and cons during this process. It's quite overwhelming. For many Northside parents, this decision is actually a nightmare for them. And sadly, some families will move out of the city for fear of not getting a spot to one of their 3 magnet school picks. Of course, they could send their child to the neighborhood school, but these often have much larger class sizes and sometimes perform in the bottom 10% of Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, we have had to say farewell to several families in Brighton Heights because of education standards being subpar, and it's sad to see them go. I'm the vice president of the Brighton Heights Citizens Federation. I started a committee called Brighton Heights Bettering Education. We work directly with parents of Brighton Heights, and we personally connect with Principal Clark, meeting monthly with her. We've asked families, what would it take you to enroll your kids at Morrow Pittsburgh? It was clear families want more art, music, and hands-on learning like garden programs. Our committee aims to bring more art and music to Morrow in the hopes that enrollment increases. Some families are looking at Baden Academy, 35 minutes up the highway, because they offer an arts-integrated curriculum. Why should a Brighton Heights family travel 2 counties north to have their child attend a charter school? John Morrow is only minutes from some of our nation's finest institutions. These museums are eager and ready to work directly with John Morrow to help us with our enrollment goal. I know this because I've met with each Northside institution personally, and they have offered their resources to John Morrow. We need your support so that John Morrow can take advantage of these programs that are being offered to make our Northside schools special too. Principal Clark understands how rich these opportunities are, and she has been very accommodating to our committee, being hands-on at the school with our efforts. There's a positive buzz now going around the neighborhood regarding this positive change at Morrow. Learning about Principal Clark retiring left my heart feeling empty. She's been so very encouraging to our committee and has deeply appreciated our commitment. I request today that Mr. Watson be selected as the new principal. He's been present for many of our meetings, and he understands what our committee is working on. He attended a meeting at the Andy Warhol Museum that we initiated to connect Northside principals to the many arts organizations around Pittsburgh. When Principal Clark was unable to attend at the last minute on a Wednesday evening, Mr. Watson was there. I want to live in a community where all the kids are attending school together, where the kids grow up together like family. Right now, Brighton Heights families are scattered all over the city for their education. What I ask of the school board tonight is to please recognize what the Brighton Heights community has done for John Morrow. In 1 year, we have sourced grants, established enriching partnerships, we've acquired much-needed resources for students and teachers, and we are not done. We have made giant strides, and we look to you.
Thank you so much for your testimony today. Speaker number 3, Donna Nyambi.
Hi, my name is Donna Nyambi. I live within a few minutes walk to Pittsburgh Morrow. I am a wife and a mother of 3. My oldest child is in the 1st grade, and we look forward to the other 2 children joining her in the coming years. I know Pittsburgh Morrow is on its way to becoming a really great school because there has been an upswing in community involvement, taking an active role to help improvements at the school. Principal Clark has been a tremendous asset to the culture of John Morrow, and she has touched the emotional chords of my oldest, Michaela, in her growth at Morrow. We are all very sad to learn that Principal Clark's final year. I found that my place at school, working with other parents with a focus on safety. The past year, I've led an edible food garden project for all the kids to be involved with. I established a crossing guard overseeing a busy intersection next to the school, which was previously not being patrolled and considered dangerous by many parents. I led a back-to-school night trying to encourage more families to be involved directly with the school, and it's proven helped build community at the school between parents and the school staff. I also actively support other community intentions led by the Brighton Heights Citizens Federation, which are mainly music and arts based. All very cool additions to the current yearly schedule at Morrow. Mr. Watson has been supportive of the efforts. I have done what I have done personally to improve the safety of the two campuses at Morrow. Mr. Watson is supportive of the music and arts integration put forth by the neighborhood groups working with Morrow, and that involves with large organizations to help with getting Morrow grants and new partnerships and opportunities that we haven't had for our kids in previous years. I see Mr. Watson engage with the children daily in a way that commends full respect from the students. He's really quite amazing at what he does, and he deserves recognition for this. I fear if John Morrow has a new principal that wasn't Mr. Watson, all these efforts could dissolve into thin air. There has been way too much progress since the fall for the district to shift gears on us now. Please appoint Mr. Watson as the principal at John Morrow. Let the parents have new dramatic opportunities for their children without the fear of losing this positive momentum. The budget cut is very disappointing. I also understand that cuts must be made to decrease the enrollment, but for what I understand, Morrow has been increasing for a few years. With the community support stepping up in the last year to help Morrow increase enrollment through partnerships like the Mattress Factory, the National Aviary, the Pittsburgh Center.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Our next four speakers are Kate Kelly, Larry Ehrlich, and Linda Woodruff. Ms. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kate Kelly. I live in Brighton Heights with my husband, two sons, ages 6 and 8. For the past several months, I have served Pittsburgh Morrow in a volunteer role as site coordinator for several of the enhancement programs already mentioned tonight. In this capacity, I've spent many, many hours in the hallways, in the classrooms, the offices, and on the beautiful campus between the two buildings that make up Pittsburgh Morrow. In my time at the school, I have been truly amazed at the potential of these two buildings and the students and staff that fill them. With the right combination of resources, Pittsburgh Morrow could be the school that makes good headlines. The school that parents want to live near so that their kids can get in it without a lottery or a waiting list. Honestly, this could be Pittsburgh Public's flagship school. The good news is the ship has already been built and loaded. Look at those two libraries, those two gymnasiums and champion basketball teams that use them. That state-of-the-art home ec room, that amazing music teacher and all his new drums, the visionary art teachers, the awesome reading program, the resources offered by all those arts, science, environmental, and technology organizations right there in the community. So why doesn't this ship set sail? What's missing? What does it need? This is the subject of great debate and discussion among the administration, the parents, the community groups, and the students themselves. This must be debated and discussed among the superintendents and the school board members. Question, was it being debated when you made the decision to cut $350,000 from Morrow's budget? I've been told that decision was based solely on the projected decrease in enrollment, even though enrollment has increased for the past 4 years. Also increasing is the number of families with young children in Brighton Heights. But whichever way the numbers go, they don't tell the story of what Morrow's students need to succeed academically and socially. The budget must be based on student needs. Actually, Morrow suffered a double whammy this year, losing that much money and its beloved and capable principal at the same time. Ideally, Morrow would be like other schools in that it would have a principal for the middle school and a principal for the elementary school, since these are two distinctly different populations with different needs. However, if you're going to make one principal literally run back and forth between the buildings every day, as Olivia Clark has done for the past 8 years, that new principal has got to be ready. There will be no time for a learning curve. This is a vulnerable school. Morrow's most immediate need is a new principal who will provide continuity in school leadership. Carlton Watson is the logical choice. He has worked 8 years alongside Olivia Clark. He's already there with teacher support, student respect. He's already familiar with what the school does well and what it needs. Please.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Speaker number 5, Larry Ehrlich.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Ehrlich. I'm chairman of Northside Leadership Education Committee. As I have mentioned on numerous previous meetings, I believe in public education. It has been very good for me and my family. Our committee hopes to continue to work with the school district to help make our schools more desirable and competitive. We both, the parents of John Morrow and the Brighton Heights Civic Association, were very pleased to be contacted by the district and asked for our recommendation and selection of the new principal at John Morrow. We trust that this policy will be expanded to selection of all administrators. We clearly recognize that the school board and the superintendent have the ultimate decision, but parents and citizens should be involved in the process. We trust that the new principal will continue the successful open-door policy of Principal Clark, as has been mentioned numerous times, listening to our concerns and suggestions on how to improve the school. We also expect that the selection will be made soon so the new principal can develop a successful program with the faculty, the community, and the numerous Northside resources who wish to work with the school. Finally, we trust that the new leader will be committed to remaining at Morrow for at least 5 years. Our other major concern is that Morrow's budget is scheduled to be reduced by $350,000 next year. This huge reduction, along with the loss of a principal, will hamper the significant progress which has been occurring at the school. The dramatic involvement of Northside resources, the Children's Museum, the National Aviary, the Carnegie Science Center, the reading program through the Methodist, the projected Kaboom playground and garden, etc., all have made Morrow a much more desirable school. Likewise, not having 28 to 30 kids in our kindergarten class, which did occur 2 years ago, is a major selling point in attempting to attract some of the 50%, yes, 50% of Northside families who refuse to use Northside public schools. Please don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Frequently, when the district closes a school or cuts a program, those changes have merely increased the number of families who have deserted our school for charter schools or East End magnets. The district now loses $53 million each year to the charter schools. Finally, please reconsider your policy of not providing insurance for our projected Kaboom playground. The neighborhood is raising $9,000. According to the Kaboom's national office, we are the only district in the nation who refuses to insure playground on school property, which mainly used by students. If we hope to recapture our lost families and our lost students who have left the district, we must make all our neighborhood schools creative and competitive. We cannot merely depend on the Pittsburgh Promise and a few successful magnets to accomplish this task. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Number 6, Linda Woodruff.
I, Linda Woodruff, have been here at the Board of Education before. I left a copy of my daughter's book, Chanel Woodruff, entitled Something You Should Hear. I left it at the Board of Education before. Okay. I left it with a security guard to be received by Janine French. Well, I went back to get it. I wasn't able to get it back. So I finally I know Janine French went to another district. I finally got in contact with her, and she says that the stuff that she left was behind, here at the Board of Education. So I still have not received it back, okay? Another time I was over at Taylor Alderdice, and I tried to push, I tried to talk, actually see the principal, and then I had another not very good experience with the security guard. She wouldn't even let me even go in to see the principal. Actually, I was treated like I was a criminal at school. The reason why I was going to try to see the principal was to try to start, which I gave you information, Moms in Touch. We used to be Moms in Touch, but it's called Moms in Prayer, and also start a Bible club there. I know that at Taylor Alderdice there is a church that meets there on Sundays. I gave you information about the equal access that I guess the last time I was here, and it was passed that the students could initiate having a Bible club in the public schools. Blessed are the nations whose God is the Lord. Without the Lord, we can do nothing at all. If you want God to bless the school district, put prayer back in the schools. If God be for me, who can be against me? Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Our next three speakers are number 7, Mark Masterson, number 8, Pamela Harbin, and number 9, Robert McGowan.
Hi, my name's Mark Masterson. I live at 200 Waldorf Street in Observatory Hill on the north side of Pittsburgh, and I'm coming before you tonight to talk about Perry High School. I want to draw your attention to the enrollment at Perry. As some of you may recall, there was a merger between Oliver and Perry that went into effect in the fall of 2012. And that merger was pretty controversial. There were hundreds of folks here in this room on several occasions, both for and against it. But before the merger, the enrollment at Oliver was around 350 kids, and Perry had around 640 students. That's about 990 students total between the two schools. When the merged school opened in the fall of 2012, the first year of that merger, enrollment at Perry was around 950 students. There's a loss of 40 kids, but that's to be expected when you have change like that, and it wasn't something that anyone was particularly alarmed about at that time. Enrollment since the merger in 2 years, between October of 2012 and October of 2014, is down to 585 students. We're only 200 kids more than when you closed Oliver on us. So there's some serious problems at Perry High School. Some of those problems, there's a lack of order. I've lived in the neighborhood and around the corner from Perry High School since 1988. There have been more Pittsburgh police responses to Perry High School that I've seen, and I'm not there during most of the day when I'm working, in the past 2 years than there were in the previous several since 1988 that I've witnessed. It appears that there's fighting outside and inside the school. You can see the fights that are happening in the little clear walkway that goes across from the gym to the high school. I've seen fights there that I never saw before. I've seen kids both on school grounds and off school grounds fighting. There's a basic lack of order and chaos at that school. I also see kids walking away from school when they should be going into school in the morning. They're walking the wrong way down my street as I go out to get the paper in the morning, and then I see them cutting back down from the ball field that's up above my house, going back when it's time to jump on the bus. There's a lack of a good principal. We've had two principals actually since the merge. We had a 3/4 of a year with the principal by committee arrangement. But there's just a basic lack of leadership in the school. The person that you've got there now has had 2 other schools where his end result was fewer kids attending the high school that he was principal of, at Oliver before and at Carrick in his last stint. I don't think that you've got the right person at this school. and you definitely didn't have the principal when the right principal when the schools were merged. There's also lack of accountability, which is why I'm here. We elect you guys.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Number 8, Pamela Harbin. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm a member of Great Public Schools Pittsburgh, and I want to thank you for moving forward with community schools, a school and community-driven solution with a proven record of educational effectiveness and fully endorsed by GPS members. I want to speak tonight about an item on this week's legislative agenda that is of particular importance to our citywide coalition of parents, teachers, students, and community leaders. Specifically, the board tab to authorize a contract with Maya Design to host 3 workshops that will bring together the school's community, students, parents, teachers, principals, and staff to generate concrete ideas and outcomes that enable the community to collaborate in ways that have a positive impact on the teaching and learning environment. As this board is aware, GPS has been advocating for the adoption of sustainable community schools model in Pittsburgh because we believe that the community school strategy can help us reach the highest possible collective impact for our students and school communities. We are excited that the district is advancing the recommendation from the Whole Child, Whole Community Plan because we agree that with improved teaching and learning environments, teachers can teach and children can learn. We also believe that to make sustainable change in our district and our schools, we need to create a shared vision with parents, students, and community. This is where GPS can help. GPS is willing and able to take the lead on engaging families, teachers, and the community in this important planning process. Here are some of the reasons why. Through our monthly public meetings and our working groups, we continue to build a citywide network of parents, students, and teachers who are knowledgeable about the collective impact of community schools. In 2013, we conducted a survey of more than 900 people using volunteers who went door to door throughout the city and found strong support at that time for community schools. In 2014, GPS published a report to share our vision for a Pittsburgh community schools strategy. That's the report I gave you. GPS members led a trip for a Pittsburgh delegation to attend the Coalition for Community Schools National Forum in April 2014 in Cincinnati, and we are continuously engaged with local elected officials and Pennsylvania legislators to discuss the need for sustainable community schools. GPS has built a strong base of parents and educators in several schools where there's expressed interest in community schools. We look forward to GPS helping make this process the best that it can be. Thank you. And also, while I have some time, I do support Carl Redwood and his LERTA, and I encourage our school directors to not support the LERTA without the conditions that are on this. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out today. Number 9, and our final speaker.
Good evening, Mr. President and distinguished members of the board. I'd like to start with a simple question. Why are retiring public school employees being required to obtain the clearances by April 15th, 2015? If you look at the second page of your paper, you'll see that the requirements for the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services for persons employed prior to December 31st, 2014, that are required to obtain updated clearances, that by December 31st, 2015, if they have not received a clearance because they were employed in the same position and were not required to obtain a clearance under prior law, meaning being grandfathered in the position. Now, public school employees that are retiring in June should not be subjected to having to get clearances just to serve until June. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sumter, this concludes the testimony for this evening's public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Philby Jones. It's unfortunate that perhaps there may have been miscommunications or hopefully not a mix-up in regarding all speakers for this evening's public hearing. We did have assurances that certain individuals did want to speak, but for whatever reason, their name did not appear on the list. Hopefully that void could be filled between now and our legislative meeting. We thank all of you for your engagement, and please stay engaged with the Pittsburgh Public Schools. This evening's meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Welcome back. We had a wide variety of speakers and some very passionate stakeholders in our schools. I'm going to kick it over to Annette to talk about some of this issues that the speakers brought up.
Okay, well, we had the greatest number of speakers talking about John Morrow School, and they were especially concerned about two issues: loss of funding and an upcoming change in the principal. Basically, this is a situation where you have parents in the community coming together, really trying to make their neighborhood school attractive. Looks like this is the parent engagement that the district and the foundations have been seeking, and I think it's important not to take these engaged parents for granted. If they feel like they're not getting anywhere, they're likely to become disengaged and eventually gone. So, in terms of the funding, it looks like there was a projection that there would be fewer students at their school. That projection did not pan out, but nevertheless, they lost $350,000. And I'm not sure about next year if the district is nevertheless going to go by a projection or make an adjustment. They seem pretty concerned, so I'm assuming that this shortfall is going to continue. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like that is something, there's got to be a way to correct for incorrect projections, you would think.
Right, and this happened a couple months ago with the Minadeo parents as well. Mm-hmm.
Something similar involving projections with the number of students.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they'll listen to the parents and make some corrections there. The other issue, principals. So it looks like a long time, much loved principal is retiring, and the parents are concerned about who will take her place. Mm-hmm. And it seems like so often the parents and community are more comfortable with an individual who has risen through the ranks at a school, who has emerged as a leader, who's earned the trust of that particular school. And I think it would be an excellent idea to consult the parents, and when possible, if there's not a compelling reason, why not go with the person that, if this is, of course, you would want to get a wider view of other parents and community members.
And one of the reasons why these principals that are beloved or that the parents know are not being used is because of the Pella program. Is that correct?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of times, and it's hard, like so many other things, it's hard to get hard and fast numbers, but the district has a program for training principals. It's called the Principal Emerging Leader Academy. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times they're placed with they've trained this principal and they have to place them somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I would think it might make more sense is to really look and see who is truly emerging as a leader at the particular school, such as Morrow, and then put that person in the Pella program. Mm-hmm. And make them hopefully the principal rather than just churning out the Pellas and tossing one into that school. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I think that would make for a lot happier community.
Right. Let the community pick their leaders and not the administration.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then
and then the other interesting, there were a couple speakers, I think, that spoke about the problem with the merging of Perry High School with Oliver.
Yeah, maybe this time it was just one. I think there was just one, maybe some other months. Yes, it looks like this particular member of the neighborhood or neighbor has noticed some really a change in Perry in recent years since the merger. I think, what are we, maybe 3 years into the merger or something? Mm-hmm. About 3 years, and there's been a turnover with various principals, really noticing a lot of problems there. And what really stood out to me was the big drop in enrollment. I think he mentioned that the school went from something like well over 900, close to 1,000 students to about 500 something
With the merger.
students
Right, right.
with the merger. And I know that demographically there has been a substantial drop in the number of high school students, not just in Pittsburgh but nationally.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that
Uh-huh.
might account for some of it, but I can't see it accounting for a drop from
Right.
900 plus to 500 plus. And remember, this is, as a little background, this is a school that Perry was supposed to absorb another school, Oliver.
Right.
And so the enrollment should have, talk about projections, I'm sure they projected it growing. In fact, there was concern about whether there'd be enough room in
Right.
the school. So I think
Right.
the projections actually, which would have taken into account demographics, the projections at least were that it was going to be a full school.
So instead, people are voting with their feet.
They're voting with their feet, and that's, again, a problem financially, because if you look at the idea that some of these students are going off to charters was mentioned, and it really does not take a lot of students
Right.
going off to a charter to wipe out the savings from the merger, or even going back to the Morrow situation, the $350,000 in
Right.
saving. Either way, it doesn't take a lot of students, because the district does have to pay. If a student chooses a charter school, the district needs to pay that charter tuition.
Right.
And it can be hefty.
Right.
$16,000 a year,
Right.
something like that. So it really does not take a whole lot of students leaving to just wipe out whatever ostensible savings you think you're getting.
And yet again, we're left with the students that are the most at risk, the students with the highest emotional needs, the students in the most poverty. That makes it very difficult for a school to operate and to get sufficient academic achievement.
So Morrow and Perry, two significant issues that we'll be watching.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Pam Harbin spoke about community schools.
Yeah, Pam Harbin has been a very strong advocate. She's at almost every public hearing that
Right.
I've seen, and a member of an organization called GPS, Greater Schools Pittsburgh, who are very strong advocates of the community schools movement. And from everything I'm reading about it, it seems like it's the way that reform should go. It's basically looking at teaching a child holistically, understanding that many students in our district go to school, go to sleep at a homeless shelter. They rely on emergency food. They are in abject poverty. They struggle with mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, ADHD. So these types of students are not going to be educated in your traditional 7 hours reading, writing, arithmetic. So the idea is to look at a cradle to career kind of looking at these children, so that they can be met, their needs can be met holistically. It's very, very strong on parent engagement, which the district has been talking about for years now,
Right.
and we've never seen any kind of real results from that. We can't do anything unless we get our parents engaged, and we have parents that hated school when they went to school. How do you get them back in the schools? So basically the community schools would be, let's stop closing these small schools, let's address those 300 kids that are left there that are the most at-risk kids by having health care in the school, by having a dentist in the school. Not in the school, but these are not...
It comes to the school on a regular basis.
But these are things that are not just auxiliary services, they're part of the school itself, of the fabric of the school. So I know that the Pittsburgh Public Schools has been talking about embracing this movement. I'm excited to see that happen, although I'm a little wary because most things that the Pittsburgh Public Schools administration that I've seen has been good on theory and not so good on implementation. So basically community schools would involve businesses, parents, teachers, taxpayers with no kids, and get them all involved in this school to make those schools once more a heart of the community. So we'll be very curious to see how this moves forward, and we'll certainly keep you informed. I will post some of these websites that we got our information from at the end of the broadcast, and as well as our email address and our telephone number. And if you have any questions, or if you have any comments, or constructive or critical, we'd love to have them. So that's the end of our show for this month. And join us next month for the April rendition of the public hearing show.
Thank you.
Bye.